Hey, what's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to a Bring the Juice podcast live stream, guys. It's been a while since I've been on a live stream. Joining me also, although just from audio, we got Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good. Just heading to the break room, so I'll be on cam in just a minute. Hopefully the air conditioning isn't picking up where my phone's charging.
Sweet. Sounds good. Well, thanks for hopping in. I know it's kind of crazy. It's kind of cool how the timing worked out. You took your break earlier, and we were able to record another podcast. So appreciate you coming on.
Oh, yeah, it's no problem. Here I am.
Yeah, and again, guys, thank you, everybody who's in here. About 12 people in here right now to start us out. Thank you to everybody. Guys, I just wanted to share this real fast. This is where we are in terms of subscribers right now. We are trying to get to 12K, so if you guys are hopping in here, haven't yet hit subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. Also, as Tristan says, Tristan, I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever, man. Hope you're doing well. Tristan says, can we hit 90 likes today? Like and subscribe. Appreciate it as always, my friend. Also, shout out to Truitt. Him and his wife celebrating 25 years today. Congratulations on that, good sir.
Congrats, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Juan is also in here. Shout out to Juan also. He says, go Colts. Appreciate you being in here. Man, Matt, I tell you what, we're in this weird point in the off season where there's not a whole lot going on, is there? It's pretty boring.
Yeah, that's why I've been taking a break because, I want to recharge my batteries before, we get to the season. And there's not a lot of news happening. So I'm like, man, what are we going to talk about? It's
I know.
News. It's not crazy right now. It's like the beginning of the off season was so crazy. And now it's just like nothing's really going on.
I know. Tell you what, man, I feel like I haven't just been on a live stream to be chill for a while because there's just so much going on. There was so much going on this off season that it's just like, wow, we can finally take a breath and just be like, okay, we're not signing Stephon Gilmore's or trading for Matt Ryan's or Yannick Ngakoue. Like we're good. We can actually stop and look at this team. So I'm very thankful. I'll say this. I have a running list of topic ideas, and especially during this time in the offseason, I'm very thankful to have those topic ideas because sometimes, you're right. It's like, what the heck do we talk about in mid-June, There's not a whole lot to do. So awesome. Thanks, Tristan. Appreciate it. Here's a question we have. And, guys, if you can submit questions as well, any questions you might have, we'd be happy to answer them as well as reading the comments. But Braden asked the question, he says, are the Colts going to sign T.Y. Hilton? What do you think? What's your sense on that?
I think there's a chance for sure because he wants to go to the Colts. And if he's not going to sign anywhere and the Colts want him, I think they'll be able to get a deal done pretty easily. I don't know. It's going to come down to training camp. What do the young guys look like? Do they look like they're capable of, playing good football? Or does it look like we need to have a veteran in there that can come in from time to time and do what we need them to do? Now, selfishly, I want T.Y. to come back because I want to be able to say, hey, I'm a fan of a franchise that has 3 receivers, that had 10,000 receiving yards, and none of your franchises have done that. But, that's more of a selfish thing. But that'd be cool to see.
Well, I feel like T.Y. kind of got the raw end of the deal a little bit where, let's be honest, the Colts overpaid for him last year. He didn't play as much as we hoped he would. He contemplated retirement, but he just didn't have a quarterback that really gave him many opportunities, it felt like. And it's like, I would just hate for T.Y.'s last season to be that season, we're just ending in disappointment. I would love for him to be able to team up one more year with a good quarterback, both of them at the twilights of their careers. It'd be really, I think, a great addition. Now, I know a lot of people say, Matt, well, you have Reggie Wayne in there as your coach, a former player, so that should be fine. I get that argument, and honestly, I'd be fine if they do that. But I still think you just can't beat what T.Y. offers on the field, right? Reggie can only do so much as a coach on the field. But if you have a true player coach out there, who can – really help teach these young guys. The Colts do have a ton of youth right now at wide receiver. I mean, the longest tenured guy on the team is Paris Campbell, who's 25 years old, 26 years old. So not a whole lot in terms of that. I mean, young and raw, and there's a lot of potential, certainly, especially Alec Pierce, getting added this year and stuff. So, but yeah, I've always been pretty vocal this offseason about, I feel like the Colts need to add a vet somewhere. And I would like for it to be T.Y. Hilton. And a lot of people say, well, you don't overpay for him. I don't think you're going to have to. I think he'll take very cheap vet deal. It's not going to be like a deal like last year at all. And I think that could just be, even if T.Y. is your number 4, I still think I'm fine with that. He doesn't have to go out and put up 700-800 yards this year. I just think just that pure veteran presence will go a long way, because it's been a tradition for how long now? Marvin taught Reggie taught T.Y. T.Y.'s taught Michael Pittman, and maybe he can also help with Alec Pierce for a year. I've always been on that train, and I get the people who say, no, why would you do that? T.Y.'s old. He was injured last year. I understand that. I just think, and I think also, Matt, what I've also noticed about, kind of hearing different people who are a lot smarter than I am, who have broke down the film and have looked, T.Y. still got it. And Chris Ballard even says T.Y. can still play. So I do feel like T.Y. Hilton should be given another opportunity to Indianapolis. I think you should sign him, not having to rely on him, if that makes sense. You sign him, but you anticipate, okay, he's probably not going to play all 17 games. He might get banged up again, and that's okay. We have insurance. We drafted Alec Pierce. We have a lot of young guys. I would be fine with it. If the price is right, I think for me, it would make a lot of sense.
I agree with that. I mean, look, T.Y. I think is still capable of going out there and being productive. I don't think he's going to be a number 1 receiver ever again. I don't think he's going to get to that. But I think, a guy that you can rely on, he's a solid role player that can come in when you need him to. He'll make a play. I think he's more than capable of going out there and doing good things. And I know people bring up Julio. Colt should sign Julio Jones because the Matt Ryan-Julio chemistry. I don't really see much of a difference. I think, if anything, you're getting a more expensive player in Julio Jones, and I just don't see him going out there and getting a couple more 100 yards than T.Y. I think it's pretty much going to be similar with the amount of yards. T.Y. might be able to get more just because he's already been in the system for however many years. And then, the only other player I would maybe take over T.Y. is Odell, because, we saw last year, especially in the Super Bowl, Odell is capable of going out there and dominating. I don't necessarily believe that he's a locker room problem. I fully believe that's something that people in New York started up to try to make him not look as good and make them look better. But really, besides OBJ, I would prefer T.Y. I think T.Y. would do as well or better than anybody else that's available out there.
Interesting. Yeah. Odell, certainly the highest potential of anybody out there right now. But I think T.Y. would be cheaper, and he's, going to be healthy and ready. He would have training camp and all the preseason and stuff like that.
Well, I think OBJ would be pretty affordable too, because he's coming off of that injury.
True.
He won't be ready right away. He'll be ready probably October, maybe November at the latest. So
you don't think there'd be a team that would, try to, overpay a little bit for him, because he is still a great player. He's just, you got to wait on him,
maybe it would have to be just a contender, but at the same time, what contender has more money than the Colts? What contender has, enough money to pay Odell $10 to $12 million? I think you can get Odell for $6 million in all reality, especially since he's going to play 8 games. He's going to miss probably half the season.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I'm torn on it. I see both sides of it for sure.
Right.
Odell's certainly the higher ceiling at this point, but I think with that probably comes a little bit of a higher price. And also, you mentioned he's going to miss half the season. So, is it worth the wait? I think it personally would be. But with the Julio thing, I don't think the Colts need another 6'4", 6'5" receiver. They got 2 big outside guys, young outside guys. I think, what they could use is, because it's kind of funny, because it's like, well, you can't rely on T.Y. Hilton to play 17 games. You can't rely on Paris Campbell to play 17 games. So maybe the combination of the two could give you something. I don't know.
Right. The combination of them can give you 17 games or something like that.
Would be nice.
Maybe. Right.
Maybe at this point, I don't know. But
yeah, I think T.Y. could stay healthy, though, if he's not the number 2 or number 1 or number 2 receiver. I think he would have a better chance of, playing maybe all 17 games. I just think what, hurt him and just what really affected him was that weird neck injury. That just kind of came out of nowhere. If he didn't have that, then who knows? He might have played a majority of the season.
Yeah, those neck injuries are scary, man. Those are the things are
Yeah.
not to be messed with at all. But Tim's here as well. Shout out, Tim. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. He asked the question, who's stepping up to safety now? Kari Willis is gone. Is it Nick Cross? Is it Rodney McLeod? Who do you think?
I think eventually it's Nick Cross. I think, he's just going to take over eventually. I could see McLeod starting the first couple weeks, but I also could see Nick Cross going out there, especially if he, just goes out there and dominates in training camp and looks really good. I could see him taking over, but I think there's a good chance you get McLeod in there because he has that experience, and then you let Nick Cross, come in occasionally, and then eventually let him take over as a starter.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Nick Cross, huge ceiling. The ceiling is through the roof
for
Nick Cross, but still raw. I mean, there's a reason he was still sitting there in the third round. So he's not a perfect player at all at this point. He's still young. He's 20 years old. He's got things he's got to work on, as every player does. But yeah, I think he's definitely got the most potential. And I would be nothing would make me more happy as if he goes out there and he just takes that spot. Because Rodney McLeod's a good player, but if Nick Cross is better, let him.
Then you got to start.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. This is a very interesting name, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. How many games do you guys think we'll win this season? I have 11 or 12. Well, if all goes well, I could see this team being a 12 to 13 win team. Honestly, if all goes well, everybody stays healthy. This team gels the way we think it will, but we all know there's injuries. So I'm probably going 10 or 11, honestly, just with the parity of it. Because also, how many games did you blow last year and you still won 9 games? So I think 10 or 11, maybe even 12. I'm right in that 10 to 12 range. What about you?
I keep going back and forth on 12 and 13. There's one game. It's either the Raiders or it's the Steelers. Probably the Steelers. I keep going back and forth on just because of how good that Steelers defense is. Look, I think we upgraded in every single area we needed to upgrade in. Our receiving core, I think, is going to be much better. I think Matt Ryan is a much better fit for our offense than what Carson Wentz was, even though I think Carson Wentz I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he was the right fit for this offense and just what Frank Reich wanted to do. I think our pass rush is going to be better, not only because of getting Yannick, but I also think Kwity Paye is going to take a step forward, and I think he's going to play much better. I think Dio is going to have a really good year too coming off the bench. So I think 12, 13, but I think the lowest I would go is probably 10 or 11, but I'm kind of at 12 at the moment.
Okay, that makes sense. You mentioned Dio, so I'll ask this question from Truitt. Is Dio situational instead of a starter, or where do you kind of see his role this year?
I think situational is a good thing for him. I do think he's going to play quite a bit, though. I just don't think he's a starter. I think Kwity Paye is going to start over him, and I can't see him starting over Yannick. So I would say situational, but I could very well see him going out there and getting, Kamelko Toure amount of sacks from last year.
He and I just released a video, so if you guys haven't checked that out, be sure to go do that. But I talked about some sleepers, and Dio Dangbo was my number one sleeper because I just feel like nobody talks about him, but the dude is a freak. He's a freak athlete. That was what we were raving about, when he got drafted. We're like, yeah, he's injured, but this dude is longer than DeForest Buckner. He's huge, and he was super disruptive at Vanderbilt, and
yes.
He would have been a first-round pick if he didn't get injured. If he didn't tear his Achilles in that, his last year there, he probably would have been a first-round pick. Heck, the Colts even said they debated taking him over Kwity. That's how good they feel like he is out of college. And so I'm like, okay, he has now a full off season. He's going to have a full off season. He has OTAs. He has training camp. He has preseason. I feel like that we could very much look back at the end of 2022 and Dio could really be challenging for a lot of playing time. I really think so. And that's a great problem to have that you're saying Dio Dangbo and Tyquan Lewis are your backup situational guys. That's crazy because both of those guys we feel like they Tyquan Lewis, obviously a little bit older, but he was probably your best defensive lineman last year before he got injured. And Dio Dangbo, the sky's the limit for him. So there's a lot of talent there.
Oh, for sure. I think honestly, him, Kwity, and Yannick, just seeing Dio come in and rotate, whether he's coming in for Quiddy or he comes in for Yannick, I think that's just going to make our pass rush even better. I think he is just as important to our defensive line as Yannick or Quiddy is. I think he's going to be very important. And I think he's that piece that can make this pass rush, go from good to great.
Could you see a situation where he's maybe more of a situational pass rusher on third downs? Like, for example, Grover Stewart comes off the field. He slides beside DeForest Buckner there. And then you have the combination of Quiddy, Pay, Buckner, Adangbo, and then also Yannick, obviously, as well. Could you see that being a scenario that they use him in?
Oh, for sure. I like you said, just with just how much of like an athletic freak he is, I can see him coming in third down situational for sure. Or, in situations like third down for sure. I think you can use him in many, many different situations, and he'll be very effective. I have a lot of confidence. And watch, he's going to have no sacks this year, maybe 2 tackles, and I'm going to look like an idiot for having as much confidence as I do in Dio.
We would all look like an idiot. We would all look stupid, man. We would all look stupid. But, like, there's reason why we're saying this. Like, I feel like Dio, like, for example, some of those other guys that the Colts drafted, like, the Toures, the Banagoos, those kind of guys, I think a lot, like, there were some people that were like, are those kind of like reaches? Whereas Dio, you're like, no, like, the only thing was the injury. That was the only question. The talent was always there. The production was there. So I feel like Dio is a least, I guess, what am I trying to say? Sometimes words are hard. Dio is, in my opinion, less bust material than, say, a Kamoko or a Banagoo would have been coming out of college, because I feel like the production is also there.
Yeah, well. And let's not forget about Tyquan Lewis. I think Tyquan Lewis is going to be another piece. Like, I think the potential with this just pass rush is very high. So, like, I mean, just seeing all 4 of those guys just come in and rotate, I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and not to mention, you have Buckner obviously in the middle there, and then you got a guy in Curtis Brooks. Like, what? And he was like, I don't know how he fell all the way to day 3. I really don't, because every thing that we've looked at, every stat said that he's going to be a stud at getting after the quarterback.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, I think he was rated as like the best defensive lineman in the college football playoff. Yeah, I think part of the reason why he fell is probably size. Like, he's not quite as big as some other guys, but I mean, just the production he brings, like, there's no reason why he should have fell that far. He should have been drafted like 4th round, somewhere in that area, like at the latest. Was it round 6 that he fell to?
I think it was 6.
Was it 5 or 6?
Johnson, I think, was in the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken. Eric Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then Curtis Brooks is in the 6th. Yeah, that's nuts. That's wild. Somehow that happened. But hey, everybody else's ignorance hopefully will catch up to them, and the Colts will find a very, very great player there. So, how much, Matt? I know you got to get back to work here at some point. I don't know how much longer you have. I just don't want to,
Right. I was getting ready to say I do have to hop off. So,
okay.
I mean, I usually take an extra 5 minutes to add on. So I have to get back in like a minute. So
okay,
I'm gonna have to hop off for now. But
that's fine.
As I'm working, I might kind of hop in and just be audio only, depending on how loud the area is that I'm working at. But
okay,
I do have to hop off. I had to finish doing what I was doing real quick and mark it off the list. That way nobody freaks out that it wasn't done.
Yeah, you're good. Yep, not a problem. Right. Thanks for hopping on.
Oh yeah, no problem. And if my boss is here, hey.
All right. See you, man.
All righty. See you guys.
All right. Dion, how's Matt Ryan looking? He's been looking fantastic. I tell you what, so many people, so many beat writers and reporters and people like that have just been raving on Matt Ryan. Obviously, the Colts coaching staff as well have been just talking about how great Matt Ryan has been, on the field, obviously, but even off the field. He's been doing things like catching guys in the hallway and quizzing them, like things like that, like, that's what you look when you think of like the quarterback, right? When you think of a leader, those are the kind of things you think of. And Matt Ryan just is leading by example already. The Colts haven't even freaking put on pads for training camp yet. And and Matt Ryan's already taking command of that room. So that you love to see that. In terms of the third string quarterback battle, I don't know how much of a battle you call it. I'm fairly confident that Nick Foles is going to be your QB2 at this point. Sam Ehlinger probably going to be more of the practice squad type of guy. Haven't heard a whole lot about it at this point, but Nick Foles at this point looks to be that QB2. We'll see how it shakes out in training camp, get a little bit of a better feel then, but that's kind of how it stands right now. What's up, Joshua? Appreciate you here being on here. Paris is the oldest rookie. Paris is last year, do or die for Paris Campbell, man. It's about time for him to do something and be on the field, right? Be available. That would be a huge perk for this offense if Paris Campbell, heck, if he plays half the games, that would be a huge perk for them. All right, what are your thoughts on linebackers? Seems like we're lacking depth there. That's my area of concern. I could see that. I think there are a few guys that have stood out a little bit. Some of those undrafted rookies. I know a lot of people don't love EJ Speed, but I thought given all circumstances, I know he wasn't perfect in that Arizona game, but I think he certainly has the tools to potentially put it together. It was good for him to get some starting reps. And then you do have Zaire Franklin as well. So I guess I'm not probably as concerned as some people are about the linebacker room, but certainly, I mean, with Darius Leonard's not out there, it's a concern because Darius is the maniac for a reason. All right, here we go. Appreciate the $1 donation, Tristan. You're awesome, man. Trying to get up there. All right. What's up, JDW? If you want to hop in here, let me know, man. I sent you something on Twitter. So if you want to hop in here, you're welcome to. Oh, you're at home. Okay. Okay, no problem. I didn't see it. Whoops. Butterfingers. Call me Colts receiver. All right. Anything to report on Rodney Thomas? Nothing I've heard. Matt Ryan. Yep. Oh, shout out to Joshua becoming a member. Appreciate you, my friend. Big season for Bobby Okereke. I keep saying Okereke. I saw Renner for PFF. He thinks this team will have a top 5 front 7 with Pay and Dio's development. You love to see that. I mean, my goodness, this should be, honestly, for Colts fans, this should be music to our ears. Guys, if you follow the team for the last decade, we have sucked at getting after the quarterback for the last decade. Besides Robert Mathis's tremendous season, we have just been outright terrible. We have just been so bad at getting after the quarterback. This is just a refreshment that Chris Ballard just continues to load that defensive line till he gets it right. And this year, I think this is the closest we've been to getting it right. So I am very excited about that. I haven't been able to play Madden 23. You guys, I've thought about playing Madden, starting a franchise or doing, I don't know, something with the Colts. If you guys would want to see that, let me know. I haven't really done streaming much with video games or with Madden or anything like that, but I'd certainly be willing to work on it and figure it out because I enjoy doing it. I was just playing Madden earlier, and I love just being able to take teams that are really bad, and not to say the Colts are pretty good, but taking teams that are really bad and kind of rebuilding them into Super Bowl contenders and stuff. But I would certainly be willing to build the Colts, and continue to add to their team. It sucks. I feel like the Colts always get shafted in Madden, and I hate that. All right. Ryan's like, "Are you ready?" Yep. I wonder how many times over under guys that you think Matt Ryan's yelled "get F and set" in at OTAs and at mini camp. What do you think? Yep. And that's the mesh, that's like Matt Ryan's bread and butter, man. So I'm very excited for that. If Paris can stay healthy, I really think he's about to go off. Week 1 starter, if you're making me choose, I'll probably say McLeod right now. Now, if like I talked about with Matt, If Nick Cross goes out there and he just takes it away, he's starting, and I don't care. I would prefer that, honestly. But I think right now, based off the experience, I'll just go with McLeod. But I do think at some point Cross is going to be the starting safety this year. I really think that. JDW, big year for Julian Blackman. I agree with that. He's got to stay healthy. He's kind of in that weird spot where he still could be your future at free safety. But if he gets injured again, is out for misses significant time, you got to start asking yourself the question, can we rely on this guy? Do we need to start thinking about free safety again? And I know that might be crazy for some people because you just drafted him, but like it's the same deal with Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell was a second-round pick in 2019, and he couldn't stay healthy. He hasn't stayed healthy at all. So what did the Colts do? They invested another second-round pick this year in Alec Pierce because you can't rely on him. Now, Julian Blackman, tremendous 2020 season. Tremendous. But he has had, the reality is he's had two major surgeries, two major injuries in the last couple of years. And that is significant. So he has to prove this year that he can stay healthy and that he can continue to be the playmaker that we saw in 2020 because he was phenomenal. He won the Colts game single-handedly with those forced turnovers. So I would love to see it. I'm hoping that Julian Blackman can do that. I'll say this, the dude is a freak in terms of recovery time. That the fact that he's already out there pretty much at full speed is just insane to me. This dude is just wild. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, Indy Colt. Does Taylor become the number one back in the league this year? Well, I would argue that he did last year. I think he's going to have fierce competition, though. I think this year will be big because I know some of y'all have been trash-talking Titans fans for good reason regarding Taylor and Henry. Isn't it crazy that the two best backs in football are in the same division? Just wild to me. Third down conversions kill us. Yep. Okay. JDW looking to plan a trip to Indy for a game. Yes. Yeah, that would be great, man. It would be great to meet you. I know it was crazy. We saw two games, the Chiefs game and then the Steelers game. They're sold out. Tickets are already sold out. Fortunately, through the podcast, Derek and I are able to get season tickets, so we're able to go to all the home games that we want to. I'm going to that Steelers game, and I think Derek and I are going to probably go to that Washington game, the Carson Wentz game. And also it helps that Carson Wentz game is at like 4:15, so I can actually go. I work on Sundays a lot of times, so I'm not able to go to like the 1:00 games. But if they're past 1:00, I can usually go. And then obviously the Monday night game I can go to as well. Brock says Quiddy has shown a lot. Yeah, I think he was certainly raw, in certain areas coming out. He had to develop that second move. And I think being able to work with, new defensive line coach Nate Ollie is going to help him out. And also just the Gus Bradley system as well. It helped guys like Max Crosby, really ascend into where he is now. It seems like you notice that trend, like in the Gus Bradley system, pass rushers seem to get better under him. So I'm very excited for what that means for some of these young defensive linemen and Yannick Ngakoue, obviously, as well. That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, good luck with that. Let me know if you need any help with that. I know what it's like to try to start something. Not a vlog, obviously, but, trying to start something from scratch. I know it can be tough. It can be daunting. It can get discouraging at times. So if you ever need anything, hit me up, man, whether it's on here, on Twitter, wherever. I'd be happy to help you out in any way I can. All right. Where are we at here? Emmanuel Sanders. That's an interesting one. I didn't know he was still playing. He's like mid-30s at this point. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm fine. I honestly just want a vet. I think T.Y. is obviously my number one choice, but, I just think a vet in there would just be able to help with the youth. I'll always be this way. I'm always in favor of adding a vet to every position group, whether they play a significant role in terms of starter reps. I don't think that necessarily matters as much. I just always like to have a guy in there who's a vet, who's been doing it for a long time. That can help teach and mentor some of those young guys. Obviously, the Colts have Reggie Wayne as their coach, so that's going to go a long way. But I always think, you can always get a guy. You can always get a vet. I think that's always important to get a guy that's on the field teaching some of these young guys. That's just my personal opinion. Dwayne Brown, I would probably say no at this point. I think the Colts are fine at tackle. You know, they have really three guys who could play left tackle. They have Matt Pryor, they have Bernard Ryman, and then they have Dennis Kelly, who they did sign a couple weeks ago, right after the draft, I believe it was. So I'm okay. I don't think Dwayne Brown, honestly, I don't think Dwayne Brown would want to come here because he's not going to probably see snaps. I wouldn't think so. That'd be great, JDW. I've never really looked into it much, but I think it'd be fun. You use Madden 16. Dude, some of those games were awesome. My favorite one, I think, was Madden 11. I believe the one with Fitzgerald and Paul Malu on it. I love that one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's also a good point as well. Matt Ryan tied for first on the deep passes last year with Josh Allen. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr., man's got to be salivating because that dude – he lived on some of those deep passes. He mossed some dudes last year. So love to see some of those again. That'll be awesome. And Ashton Dulin probably is too, because that speed kills. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Paris is the Yak King, man. When you get the ball in his hands, him and Hines, man, just get the ball in their hands. They'll do the rest. That's why it was so freaking frustrating last year when he just didn't get the ball in Nahim Hines' hands, just for some dumb reason. So very glad we have a quarterback now that will actually spread the ball around and get some of those guys the ball. And honestly, I think when talking about like the checkdowns, that's a check down that could go for 20, 30 yards that we just didn't have last year that Carson Wentz just did not make. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, Hooker's is in a similar spot. Yep, agreed with that. I'm trying to sort through these. Yeah, it's interesting how our free safeties the last couple of years have kind of been in similar situations, you know. Now, I do think Blackman has shown a little bit more in terms of durability than Hooker, but yeah, it's weird. Like both of them are just in eerily similar situations. So Blackman has to hopefully be on the other side of it. Hooker just didn't really last. You know, he got hurt again in that, I believe it was the Jacksonville game, and then that's when Blackman kind of took over. So I'm hoping that he can stay healthy this year. Yeah, Derrick Henry, dude, they talk about overuse. Holy cow. Like, you thought the Colts overused Jonathan Taylor last year. Just look at what the Titans have done with Derrick Henry. It's not going to last, man. It's not going to. That's not sustainable football. Sleeper for the Pro Bowl and All-Pro team for the Colts. That is a great question. I'm assuming you're going to talk about a person that probably hasn't made one. That's the sleeper. Man, that is a great question. I think Quiddy, for me, could be potentially that fringe Pro Bowl player. I'm going to go with Quiddy. I think he could get close to double-digit sacks, so he could be there. Colts Giants Monday night. I remember the one game, the Colts Giants Sunday night football game. Eli Payton. That was a fun game. Yep, agreed. Tyquan Lewis. I think nobody talks about him, but he's great, and he's a sleeper as well for me. Tyler Lockett. Ooh, that's an interesting one. My question is, what would you have to give up? If it anywhere requires, I guess I'm just always wary, guys, and maybe I'm just crazy on this, but I'm always wary of where you are at quarterback right now. I don't really want to give away many draft assets, especially, first couple rounds, because I don't know. I want there's so many good quarterbacks next year. I want the ammunition to be able to go up and get a guy. That's just me. If the Colts had a guy that they believed in, sure, I would be okay with that. That's just my opinion. What's up, Daniel? Appreciate you coming on, man. We'll have to get you back on the podcast. It's been a while, I know. So I wasn't originally excited about Matt Ryan, but as the offseason progressed, I've warmed up to the idea. Wide receiver, depth at wide receiver is terrible, though. I don't know if it's terrible. I think it's just unproven. So you just don't know what you're going to get. I do wonder last year, okay, we looked at the wide receiver, said it's so bad. Was that, I mean, maybe they did have issues as well, but also I wonder, okay, was that on the quarterback as well? Made them look worse than they actually are? I don't know. There's been some debate on that. Yeah, we'll see on that. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like that's where I'm going with the McLaurin thing too. And I know I got some flack for that, which is fine. You don't have to agree. Terry's great, a fantastic receiver. But I just want to get the quarterback. That matters so much more to me, because you live and die by your quarterback. And Matt Ryan's under contract for only 2 years, right? Now he might play longer than that, but I would rather feel okay and feel good about my franchise quarterback and give him a couple years of sitting under Matt Ryan. Kind of what they did with Aaron Rodgers in some ways. I would love that. So that's just my opinion. Nahim or Doolin in the slot. I would probably say Hines, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, I really believe that Pittman's season last year, considering how bad the passing offense was, the fact that Pittman put over almost 1,200 yards, I thought was phenomenal. That's a great stat, though. So ready for Isaiah Rodgers. I love Isaiah Rodgers. You all know this. He's a great dude, man. It was so fun to be able to sit down with him and just talk about, Stephon Gilmore, talk about what he's learned in the league and all that stuff. You should get his jersey. He's awesome. Yeah, I need some more backflips, cartwheels from Nahim Hines this year. I missed that. Yep. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with all these. Guys, thank you, everybody, for in here. Almost 100 people in here. Appreciate it. Let me check on the subs right now, where we're at in terms of that. We're at 11,739. We're trying to get to 12K. So if you guys are in here, if you guys are in here and you haven't yet hit subscribe or like, we'd appreciate that. Trying to get it out to all Colts Nation. We will be doing a couple giveaways when we do reach 12K. So if you guys would help us out in that department, we would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's continue. Ready to go to the Chiefs. Hopefully Pat McAfee will be there. That game's going to be electric. I'm jealous. I don't think I'm going to be able to go to that game unless they flex it to which is crazy to me that they didn't, but I think they should flex it to like a Sunday night game. That would be great. I would go to that game in a heartbeat. Skylar and Kirsten says, I believe we have a deep wide receiver group, but not sure we have a true number one wide receiver. I think Pittman's right there, in my opinion. I think JT is going to go off. I think he's going to get less carries, which is a good thing, and he might have slightly less yards just because the balance, right? You're going to get more of a balanced offense. The stats are just wild, like how the Colts were 26 overall in passing yards, is second overall in rushing yards, but they were still the 10th, one of the 10th. I think they were 10th. They were in the top 10. I know that in terms of scoring offense. So if they can get more of a balance, even if JT's stats take a slight hit, I honestly think that's a good thing. I do too. If he stays healthy, I really think he's in for a big year. Oh, yeah, Braden Smith as well. That dude is so underrated. Nobody talks about him, but he's always been just such a great tackle. He needs more recognition, man. Who has left the Colts and a better career elsewhere? I think one guy that comes to mind for some weird reason, Tim Jennings, if you remember that guy. That was more the Super Bowl era kind of year. I think it was 2007, 2008. He was okay for the Colts, if I remember right, if memory serves correctly. I was still kind of getting into the fandom at that point, but and then he went off, I think, to Chicago and actually played really well. I think Yannick has made the Pro Bowl, hasn't he? I thought if he hasn't, then that's crazy to me. I think he's definitely should be there. All right. Thanks for tuning in, JDW. Appreciate it. We should kill it in the red zone. I think we should, because heck, look at the freaking size we have at wide receiver, tight end, man. And we had the best running back in football too, and the best receiving running back in football. So we should, and it's kind of wild that we didn't last year. Mo Alley-Cox, 6'5". We got obviously Jelani Woods, 6'6". We got Michael Pittman, 6'4", Alec Pierce, 6'3". We have a lot of big weapons. So I think definitely we'll see a jump in red zone efficiency. That's what I'm saying too. Okay. Yep, Isaiah Rodgers. Yeah, that was a great pick, man. I don't know how he fell to the 6th round. Hopefully, we say the similar thing about Curtis Brooks, man. Hopefully we say something similar. Get the likes up. Appreciate it. I don't know where we're at in terms of likes. I don't have it pulled up right in front of me, but let's get there. That would be that's an interesting question. That's a very interesting question. Kenny Moore, people crap on him for the last couple weeks of the season. I mean, rightfully so, but he still is the best slot corner of football, in my opinion, even though we did have a couple rough games there. So I don't know. That's tough for me to say he will be better. Maybe more consistent. We'll see. I think he can't. The big question again, Mike, is can he stay healthy? The question we've all asked for how many years now. If he can, sure, absolutely. This is probably the best situation he's been in a long time. So I certainly think so. I think we have a true number one, but we need number two. I'm interested to see what happens with Alec Pierce. Is he the number two this year? You have two young guys out there. I would be very happy if he did make a jump. He doesn't have to have like a crazy year. But if he had a similar rookie year to like Pittman in certain areas where Pittman was okay, but he certainly wasn't wide receiver number one at that time. Okay. I know, man. Quiddy pay. I don't want to talk about he who shall not be named. I don't want to cry today. Quiddy pay. Yep. These two guys are just enigmas to me, man. Enigmas. The talent, yes, it's there, but these dudes have done nothing, virtually nothing with this team. I am interested, though, to see. I'll just say this. This is the last time I'm holding out hope for Mbanagu, but I'm hoping that somehow this change in system does something for him. It kicks him into gear. It doesn't have to be a starter, but I just hope that he can start being effective. He can kind of do what Tyquan Lewis did, right? Remember, Tyquan Lewis, everybody was saying he was a draft bust after the first couple of years. But then what happened? He stepped it up. He got his butt in gear, and look at him now. I think he was the best defensive lineman on the team last year, in my opinion, at defensive end. So, yeah, I'm hoping that something changes here for Mbanagu. It sucks, man, because there were so many other players there that you're like, man, Mbanagu just has not lived up to it, and there were so many other guys that could have helped out. All that to say, I'm hoping he does because this is his last shot, man. I don't know if he's going to make the final 53 man, if I'm being honest, if he doesn't step it up this year in training camp. So that's an interesting question. I think certainly it's going to take a little bit of time, as it does with every new thing. It's going to take some time for everybody to get acclimated, because there is and that was one of the concerns I had. I did a video probably a month ago or so talking about the weaknesses of this team. I think the one weakness we had said, I think Lawrence and I had said, was just the cohesion of the team, because there are so many new faces, coaching staff and players. So I could certainly see, there'll be a tiny bit of growing pains early on, but I think as the season goes on, if everybody stays healthy, they'll gel and they'll be just fine. Yeah. Sorry, I misspoke. 6'7", 6'6". Still, you got the size. All right. Yep. Excited for that. Alec Pierce is going to be Rookie of the Year. That'd be awesome. Okay, this is a good question by Mike. I honestly think he's going to let it play out, and the Colts are going to make a decision based off of that, how the young receivers respond. If they respond well, the Colts feel confident. I don't think they will. But if nobody steps it up, I think a vet's in play. Yeah. That's a good question, Kurt. That's what I'm wondering too. Well, I think Matt Ryan will have over 4,000 yards. I think he'll have like 4,200 yards. I would like to see about high 20s, low 30s touchdowns, about 8 to 10 interceptions. I think that would be a good year. Yeah, absolutely. Glad to do it. Do you think? Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get. Yeah, Tell wasn't a high pick, but Mbanagu was. But I liked Tell. I thought he had a good rookie year. That's what sucks, man. And then he just kind of disappeared. So I don't know. Did Mbanagu get a chance? Well, I mean, he did. He was a healthy scratch, so he He just hasn't been performing the way the Colts want him to. He hasn't been practicing. Same thing with Tyquan Lewis. Just hasn't been putting in the work at practice, to warrant being active on game day, which sucks. You're welcome. Appreciate everybody who has stayed with me here. It's been a bit since I've done a stream, but I appreciate everybody for all your support. Yeah, it means the world to me, guys, that you guys are so awesome, just sending in all these questions and everything, because there definitely can be times where you're, putting in the grind and you get discouraged and you're just like, do people even care? Do people appreciate, all that stuff? Then you see a negative comment or something, and then it can be easy. I've had to work through that over the time when I started this to now. I think I definitely got better at it. Derek and I have talked through things, but always appreciate. It's like for every person who says something rude, you have 10 other people who are all so kind and everything. So appreciate everybody. All right. Yeah. Kind of going back to what I said, I think it'll depend on how those young guys look and how the Colts evaluate them. If they don't look great, yeah, I think a vet's in play. Okay. Yep. I agree with that. Training camp will answer a lot of questions. Yeah, that's a good point. I honestly forgot that Marvell Tell opted out his second year. That certainly probably didn't do him any favors for his development. But I'm hoping that maybe with this new system, he can kind of get back to where he was. Because remember, when he was drafted, he had only really played safety. So he was transitioning to corner. So he's still pretty young as a corner, as well. So we'll see. All right. Braden White says Colts are going to break streaks this year. We're going to win our first game. Then we're going to beat the Jags at Jacksonville. Hey, I'll just say this. The Colts have a great opportunity to get two monkeys off their back right away, and I think that's going to set the tone for this season, honestly. I'm just glad we don't have to face Jacksonville again in week 17. I still am not over that, and I don't think anybody is over that. Jim Irsay is certainly not over that. Will JT have over 1,200 yards? I think he will. I don't know anything about him really. I'd have to do some research into him. I haven't done a whole lot of research. It's been so crazy into some of these undrafted guys. That's a great question. Probably what happens first? Colts bump Kenny Moore. I don't think the Colts are getting rid of Kenny Moore anytime soon. So I'll say I'll go with the stud wide receiver, but I don't think that's very likely either. Oh man. Well, I don't know if the Dolphins would do that. I don't think the Dolphins would do that, honestly. Ooh, this is a good question. Yards and touchdown prediction for the Nightmare, Nahim Hines. Let me pull up, guys, real fast here, his stats from 2020. Nahim Hines was really sticking good in 2020. All right. I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, it always takes a second to share. All right. So here we go. Let me zoom in here. Let me go down. All right. So Nahim Hines in 2020. Look at this. This is just he had his tie for career best in 2020. He had 400. He had his career high in receiving yards, and he also had 4 touchdowns as well. So I think based off of that, I'm going to go Nahim Hines I'm going to say he might honestly break it. I'm going to say he has 65 catches for 510 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. That's what I'm going to say for Nahim Hines. All right, let's continue. Yeah, that Raiders game also. Oh my goodness. I know the miss on TY still haunts me to this day. Jelani Woods, how much of an impact will he make? That's a good question. Yeah, I would say out of 10, I'm probably going to go like a 5.5. Just because the tight end room is so crowded. I really hope they do use him more than that, but it's just hard. Like, it's kind of like a good issue that you have is like, which mouths are you going to feed? I really would love for Jelani Woods to just get in there and, have a great rookie season. But in reality, it might take him a little bit of time to make a huge impact right away. So, Matty Ice for MVP. I'd love to see it, man. All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Yeah, I do have a Facebook as well. I don't really check the messages too often, but I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have Twitter. Hit me up on one of those, and I'd be happy to help. All right. I'll have to check that out. I did not see that. I didn't get the chance. I was going to watch it, and I didn't get the chance to watch it. What's up, Bryant? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you being in here. Guys, I'm probably going to be in here for a few more minutes here. Appreciate everybody who was in here. It's always fun to talk about it, especially at this point in the off season. Not a whole lot going on, but hey, the grind never stops. We always want to put in the work. All right. I missed this one. 2022 Hines is the second highest receiving grade of any running back besides Kamara. He was so good. He was so good. He still is so good. You just got to give him the ball, Take the layups, man. Come on. I would say Ellinger. No. I'm sorry. The Ellinger fans are going to come kill me. Cone. I'm saying Cone. And I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm saying Cone. All right. Here's another one from Braden. He says, Darius Leonard, the best linebacker in the league, is going to be better than ever this year. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that he's potentially even going to be back for training camp. A little bit nervous there when you hear the word surgery, especially around the ankle. I mean, Colts Nation, rightfully so. Panic mode ensues. But I think Darius Leonard is going to be just fine. I really do. I'm not as concerned at all here and now that it's going to be less time than we initially thought. So it's great news. Hey, appreciate it, man. Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. It'd be a fun battle for sure. You guys have a great squad this year. I'm excited to see how the Dolphins do. Just do us a favor, sweep the Pats. We'd be happy with that. We'll do you a favor. We'll beat them as well. But appreciate you coming on, hanging out. Yeah, healthy Darius has Defensive Player of the Year capability. I agree with that. I mean, heck, Darius wasn't 100% last year, and look at all the turnovers he forced. Imagine the man at 100%. He's been doing what he's been doing, and he's been injured. So if he's 100% or the best he's been since probably 2018, 2019, I'm excited. I'm excited for Darius fully healthy. No, I haven't. I haven't talked about the Dan Snyder news yet. Here, I'll pull it up. Yeah, that's terrible, man. Just got to get him out of there. Washington's a crap show, man. Ugh. You think 60%? All right. He can play everything. I feel like Wright kind of mentioned he's an outside guy, I feel like the Colts have 3 or 4 guys who can play the slot easily. Darius is not human. He's a maniac, man. He makes plays. I've never seen a player like Darius Leonard. He's just a turnover machine, man. Turnover machine. Darius is calling more defensive plays last season. How does that change in Gus's defense? Great question. We'll have to see. Appreciate the question, Brian. A nerve that, yeah. So it was kind of like odd when they were talking about the Darius Leonard injury because it seemed like there was a little bit of confusion somewhere, and I don't know which one was correct exactly, but I think one person was saying it was 2 separate injuries. One person was saying it was just one injury, and stuff like that. So, I'm not going to get into that because it's very confusing at this point. but I'll just have to trust, I guess, that Darius knows his body better than anybody. And if he says he'll be out there, he'll be out there. How many yards for MPJ and Alec? I'm going to go 1,600 yards between the two of them. I think Pittman's about 1,200. I think Pierce is 400 to 500, honestly, in his rookie year, which is pretty good considering all the other guys that are going to get the ball as well. Honestly, if Alec Pierce has anywhere near kind of what Michael Pittman had his rookie year, I would be honestly fine with that because Pittman was pretty solid and he just got better as he went along in the year number one. All right. Yeah. Pierce has the size to the outside, which you love to see. Jojo DeMaine. Yeah, that dude has been killing it from what all I've heard. I honestly think he might make the final 53 man based on if he continues to do what he's done. I do. I really do. All right. Out of all last year's Pro Bowlers, okay. Maybe I shouldn't cheat, but I was going to say one of the special teams guys because I don't want to get rid of any of these guys. But let me pull up all the special teams players because I know the Colts had a lot, or all the Pro Bowl players. I'm sorry. Crazy they have so many Pro Bowl players and still somehow did not make the playoffs. That's just crazy to me. All right, so the Pro Bowlers the Colts had last year. Okay. DeForest Buckner, Ryan Kelly, Darius Leonard, Kenny Moore, Quentin Nelson, Luke Rhodes, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, the easy thing is Luke Rhodes, but I would probably say of all the players that, are making a big impact on one side of the ball or the other, this is a great question. Probably, gosh, I feel like no matter what I say, people are going to get angry. So I'll just say Ryan Kelly. I'll just say Ryan Kelly because he's older. Because he's a little bit older. I feel like he's a little bit overhyped, in my opinion. He's a good player. He's a Pro Bowl player. But I don't know. I think he would be the guy I would choose out of anybody. That's just my opinion. Touchdowns with Matt Ryan throw. I will say 28 for Matt Ryan. Yep, he right now, Rodrigo Blankenship is your starting kicker week one. Yeah, I know that is tough. I think MPJ has Pro Bowl all over him. Definitely. Crazy that he didn't make it last year. All right, guys. I'm going to go here. What time is it? I'm going to go till about 9. So we got like 2.5, 3 minutes left here. So get in any last questions you want me to answer here. Also, thank you everybody who is tuning in. We had about 100 of you in here at one point. So I appreciate that. Right now, we are sitting at 11,740 subscribers. So we gained a couple more tonight. Thank you, everybody, for that. And be sure to hit that like button if you can as well. We always appreciate that. That helps get it out to more Colts fans and non-Colts fans to continue the conversation. All right. Any other questions for you guys? Any other questions here? Last call. See you later, Brock. Sup, Brian? Brian's always been a real one. He's been in here since day one. Appreciate you, Brian. All right, cool. Oh, one more question. Hang on. Do you think the Colts utilize the money gained from Willis or just keep it? I think they feel okay at safety. I think they'll just keep it for now. Maybe it could go towards a vet receiver, maybe, but I don't think it's going to go necessarily towards another safety. But maybe if they would, I think Landon Collins would be my number one choice. But again, I mean, he's not going to ask for much either. Corey Willis, who's going to replace him? I would say combination of McLeod or Cross. I think McLeod gets the early look at it because he's the vet, but I think Cross will eventually take it. Appreciate it. Let's see, 10 plus wins. I think it's very possible if everybody stays healthy. Appreciate you, Michael. Appreciate it. Yep. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. You guys are awesome. We try to get all the content out we can for you guys, and we're going to get another one out, kind of talk about the Colts offense tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.